2.
Erin Loman-Jack, and today we're going to talk about the 4 parts of your voice. Now, a lot of people don't understand that how important the parts of our voice are. It's things that we take for granted every day until you hear someone who maybe doesn't have the best voice. And we're like, oh, it's like nails on a chalkboard, right? So if you think about it, these are the most important pieces of learning how to communicate with people. Now, this isn't stuff that's really taught in school, and most people that learn this part is usually for singers. But today we're going to learn how we're going to use this in our speaking. So we're going to talk about tone first. Tone is the amount of air that is coming out when you speak. So if we talk about it, we have a range from the very airiest sound to the sounds that have no air at all, where it's being constricted, the airflow is being constricted. And so we look at, okay, so if I was to think about what my voice sounds like, the best way to look at how you're being perceived, and if you're too airy or not airy enough, don't have enough air, is to actually put your hand in front of your mouth. So when you speak, so when I'm speaking, do I feel a lot of air coming out of my mouth? Now, if I'm airy, I'll feel way too much air coming out. And if I don't have enough air, I don't feel it at all. So I want you to do that. Try that for yourself and see, do you have the steady stream of air that we talked about before? Do you have that steady stream of air coming out that's consistent across a sentence? So how you can do that is making sure that we're controlling how fast our stomach is coming in when we speak. When we talked about diaphragmatic breathing, we talked about filling up that balloon and letting the belly come back in and the air out. Now, if you do that too fast, I'm speaking too airy, and I run out of air. And then if you don't have enough, then you're just stopped, and nothing's moving, and your stomach isn't moving. So really controlling that with our diaphragmatic breathing will really help that solid stream of air come out while we're speaking. Now, the other way is, in our physical body, think about it. We have one place the air comes out, and it can either come out your mouth or out your nose. Now, when you have either a tight jaw or you're constricting the amount of air that's coming out of your mouth, sometimes the air will find another way out, which is where you get the nasal sound. So the air goes, oh, there's some other place for it to come out, and go up here, let's go out. So if you want to think about making sure you have enough air coming out of your mouth, you need to drop your jaw and let the air flow out. Now, if you're doing this and you don't feel any air, and then all of a sudden you feel it coming out your nose, it gets hot, then you know you're using too much air through your nose. It becomes that nasal sound. And who wants to listen to some nasal person talking about anything? I can't even stand watching that. What was that show? Fran Drescher, right? With a very nasal sound. Nobody really likes to hear that. It makes it very unique for her. However, when you're speaking, nobody wants to sit for 45 minutes and hear that. So really making sure, and if you are being too airy, especially as a female, you don't be taken serious. You lose some credibility when you're just talking like this. This is bedroom voice, not boardroom voice. And it even goes with men too. You've heard men that kind of talk like that. They just talk so light and airy. All right, so if you want to have the steady stream of air coming out of your mouth to make the most connection with your audience, focus on how much air is coming out when your stomach is coming in. Second thing is we want to talk about pitch, how high or low your voice is. So we all have a range. Some people speak really high up here, and some people speak really down here. And you can feel that there's a difference in that. And so it's finding where your perfect range is. And so one of the ways that we do this is an exercise that my vocal coach taught me is doing the same exercise we did with our air in our belly. So fill it up. And then I want you to push your belly. Oh. So you can hear if I start really low, you want to start at the bottom of your register, like in your chest voice, really low, as low as you can even go. And then what happens is your body will start correcting, and then it'll land in a place where you should be speaking at your optimal pitch. So let's try it again. Oh. You can hear now I have that same tone across it. that same pitch. So that's where I want to land, right there. So now you can hear that's exactly where I'm speaking right now. Now, the thing you've got to think about with pitch is this. In life, we hear people, we have about 3 ranges in there. So we have a really high voice. When we see a cute puppy, oh my gosh, it's a puppy, we go really high. We have our normal talking voice, which is this voice right here. And if we only use this, we get very boring. And if you only stay on one note all the way, everyone feels like they know what you're going to say. So it's important to use different ones. Then we have our third, which is sit to the dog. We go deep. So if you can use all 3 of those when talking, you will really elicit more emotions. People will feel like they don't know what you're going to say next. You don't become predictable, and people will really want to listen. So it's important to figure out where you are on that range. The high, you lose credibility. If I talk up here all the time, then I don't really have any credibility, right? But low, if I say, today we're going to talk about pitch, you feel like I'm a little condescending and strict, and so you really don't care about me. All you care about is what you got to say. So we don't want either one of those happening to us where we're stuck there so that people feel that in the audience, right? So then pace. We talk about pace when we talk about how fast or slow we speak. Now, there are a lot of people and even cultures that speak really, really fast. Sometimes you're like, what did they say? It was so fast, I'm lost. And you never want to lose your audience. So it's important at periods and commas to slow down and pause and then continue on. Sometimes that feels like a long time in front of the room, but it's not. And even if I made it a long time, you're still wondering what I'm going to say next, right? So as a speaker, know that you can pause and no one's going to charge stage. No one's going to feel like you forgot what you were going to say. It's really important to pause. Let people catch up, especially if you're in the tech industry or if you have industry-specific language that maybe some other people might not know. If you run those words together, the person in the audience doesn't know how to follow you. They automatically feel like they're left out, they feel stupid, and then they check out, pull up their phones and start scrolling. And I know that's not what any of us want, but that's what happens because they feel like they don't understand what's happening. So make sure you slow down. And so the rate of the words coming out, all you have to do is allow others to keep up with you, right? And like I said, pause at the commas and periods. Now, it's really also important when you want to elicit words. If you want to really land a word, so if I was to say, hi, my name is Erin Lohman Jack, I slow down the pace of those words because I want you to really hear each of those words. Now, if I just said, hi, my name's Erin Lohman Jack, you have no idea what I just said. And you're still trying to go, what? Okay, all right, I'm following, but I'm already on to the next sentence, right? So thinking about pace, when you look at a sentence in your script, I want you to think about what are the most important words to land. We want to land nouns, verbs, and adjectives. So if we can slow those words down and speed up the ones that don't make sense, like we don't care, like the it's, as, to, but, all of those, we can fly through those. But make sure we land the important words using more of a slower pace. Volume. Volume is important. We don't realize that we should be speaking loud enough that without a microphone, you could hear me in the room. This will also train you to have a steady sound that comes out so that even when you have a mic and something happens to it, that people can still hear you and you're not yelling and you're not so quiet that they can't hear you. So it's really important to keep that because if you don't keep that, you can lose your voice. If you're screaming like Tony Robbins on stage, trust me, he loses his voice. He struggles with his voice because he's yelling a lot and using that volume. But the other important part that you need to know about volume is people have to feel you. The amazing thing about our voice is it's vibrations coming out of our mouth. You can literally let people feel you with using your vibrational sound. It echoes back into that person's body and then they elicit some feelings. So if you'd like them to feel things, If you wanted to yell at someone, you're gonna elicit some feelings inside of them, right? But if you want to be happy and excited and you still feel those vibrations, you're going to be triggered to feel happy and excited. And it's also going to release some of the great hormones for people. So they get the oxytocin going. They start to really fall in love with you because all of these things, your vibrational sounds are exciting to them and make them feel good. So you need to be loud enough so everyone can hear you, and they need to feel you and your vibration. So the last part is one of the most important pieces that I teach, which is melody. Let's think back. Go back to kindergarten. How did we learn our ABCs? A, B, C, D, E, F, G. We sang. Some of the most important things that we know, we sang them in some kind of melody to remember. This is because it actually unlocks a different part of our memory system, and so you become more memorable. Think about this. You might not be able to tell me all the presidents of the United States, but you probably could tell me, if I turned on the radio, you could probably sing lyrics to at least 20, 50, maybe even 100 songs. And maybe it's a song you haven't heard for a long time. The minute the music plays, you remember the words. So melody unlocks that part of the brain and helps people think of you when they think of these ideas. So when we want to use melody, we want to use ascending melodies. So we want to go up in our tonality. We want to sound like we're going up. We're going to be really loud. We want to go up to elicit happiness, excitement. If we go down in our melodies, I am really coming down here and I'm talking about how my dog died. So you can elicit different emotions based on how you use your melody and your voice. So the other thing is, a lot of times, women especially, we like to go up thinking that we're being cute. It's kind of an insecure thing that happens for women. So if I was to ask for a job, I'd like, will you hire me? Well, that's a question. And men don't usually ask those things. They just say, are you going to hire me? Even though it's a question, it doesn't sound like a question. They use it as a statement. And so as women, sometimes we need to watch our melody and not go up too much, because if we're always going up, people don't know what we're talking about. And if they don't know what we're talking about, or they feel like you're insecure about it, right? So I want you to use both sides of that. Now, in your talk, you don't really need to bring them into this dark story, but it really can help when you are telling a dark story. Like when I tell the story of my dad's death, I slow it down and I drop into a descending melody. It was the worst day of my life. It was my first speaking engagement, right? So now you're feeling that. So I want you to be able to use this in different ways. You want to be able to walk up the stairs and walk down the stairs. Now, if you jump, it's too much. So if I was talking like this and then I went up, that's a huge jump. It doesn't correlate, and people are like, what are you doing? So I want you to think about slowly walking up the stairs, slowly walking down the stairs, all right? Don't jump. There are steps in between. You don't just jump from the top to the bottom. So really walk those up. This, like I said, it unlocks the memory, you become a memory, and it elicits the most feelings and drives your audience to their feelings. So this part is huge. And if you can just sit here and listen to all my videos, you'll start to notice how much I change my melody in just regular conversation. That because it makes people like, wow, what is she gonna say next? They wanna listen to every word you're saying because they don't wanna miss anything, right? And when you wanna use your volume and even want to bring them closer to you, you could say, it was really the worst day of my life. It was the day, right? And so you're like with me, you're here, like, come on, tell me the next thing. So using all of these things are so important to really deliver the best talks. So when I work with speakers, I take their script and actually underline, highlight, make the arrows go up and down, so they start to practice these things. So I really want you to start practicing underlining the words in the sentence that are most important, the nouns, adjectives, and verbs. So you slow those words down and spread them out. And then what I want you to do is when you want people to feel happy, I want you to go up the stairs. So the last 3 words go up. And then when you want them to be more morose and lower, and maybe just, thinking about something that might be painful. Even if you're talking about, it really must be painful to not have a computer. Right? You're going to say, it must be amazing not to have a computer. See how different that is? You can elicit more of those. So really look at what you want your audience to know. So those are the underlined words that we slow down, and how we want them to feel going up the ascending scale or down the ascending scale. I hope you enjoyed today. Go out there and practice.